Facebook Nets pregame show. Embrace it. This long 82-game journey, the expectation for a long playoff run. Coos, the excitement is building for another season. The Nets considered among the favorites to win an NBA title.
Let's go. Let's go. And we heard the players talk so much, and the word championship came up over and over again. There is one clear goal for this team, for this group. We know we have heard them talk about unfinished business from last year. It has been what seems like a long 4 months, maybe a short 4 months. But for everyone, I think Nets fans, the league in general, NBA fans, so much anticipation for what this team looks like, led by two of the best players in the game right now.
No question about it. And we were out there in San Diego for the start of training camp. These guys are locked in. A little bit of a different look this season as we check out the additions and subtractions the Nets made in preparation for this new season. You see the subtractions, including Spencer Dinwiddie, Jeff Green, Landry Shamet, who just got a new contract extension with Phoenix. Congratulations to him. DeAndre Jordan also out. The Nets adding defense with DeAndre Bembry, Javon Carter, an all-everything guy, and Patty Mills, a veteran big man, and Paul Millsap, and some young guys they added into the mix as well. Mike James, Tyler Johnson, Reggie Perry, currently free agents. Also worth noting, a asterisk on an addition, LaMarcus Aldridge. You know, we saw him retire, and so he's back in the mix. Another veteran, also add James Johnson in there as well. Different look. I like the fact that Sean Marks is looking at defense with some of the additions that he brought in.
You got to love a lot of it. And when you say different look, I think the core pieces still exist. But the fact that in Game 7, the Nets had 10 available players off the bench, there is one that still exists, and that's Nicholas Claxton, who only played a second. But you add veteran experience, versatility, a great amount of depth, defensive-minded players, and all of these guys very complementary pieces for how they fit in the way that Steve Nash in this group wants to play, the personnel around guys like Kevin Durant and James Harden, and for a lot of reasons, I think, you know, there is optionality when it comes to how Nash and the coaching staff want to put their lineups together, what the rotations look like, given the matchups and given who the opponent is. And I think that creates a lot of excitement for what they can do.
Yeah, speaking of that optionality, you can play along at home. Who do you think will be in the starting lineup for the Brooklyn Nets this evening? Now, of course, Kyrie Irving not a part of the active roster right now due to his choice not to get vaccinated for COVID-19, which put him in violation of New York City's mandate for participation during indoor activities. We know the Nets have said he can't play until he's fully eligible, and Kyrie talked about the situation on Instagram Live last week. Yesterday, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver gave the media his thoughts.
Frankly, I hope that Kyrie sort of, despite how strongly he feels about the vaccination, ultimately decides to get vaccinated, because I'd love to see him play basketball this season. And I'd love to see the Brooklyn Nets have their full complement of players on the floor.
Yeah, Coos, we talked about this quite a bit. The Nets made it abundantly clear the stance that they have. This isn't necessarily about trying to force Kyrie into getting the vaccine. This is about the guys that are out there practicing and are going to be available on the floor tonight versus Milwaukee.
Yeah, and make no mistake, there is a talent drop-off when you take away a player like Kyrie Irving. All of us would love to see him on the floor. He is such a special talent in what he brings to the table on the court. But Nets talked about it. Sean Marks has talked about it. Joe Tsai has talked about it. This is about the team as a whole and the collection of a group to create chemistry, to create cohesion that is necessary for a team with championship aspirations. And so there is clear choices on both sides, one which are seemingly mutually respected by, but for that matter, there is clarity in how this group will move forward. And I think for the part of the Nets organization, and they've also talked about, for in fairness to Kyrie himself, that this is the best option given the circumstances of decisions that have been made on both sides.
And again, to reiterate, this will only be resolved if Kyrie gets at least one shot of the COVID-19 vaccine or if the New York City mandate changes. So without Kyrie until further notice, the Nets will begin their season tonight against the reigning NBA champs. Yesterday, Kevin Durant and Joe Harris were among the players who talked about the game plan for Brooklyn.
Basketball-wise, we want to keep the ball in our hands, and I think last year, we talked about it last year, a lot of teams have more possessions than us in the game, so I think that's one of the things we want to emphasize, is keeping the ball in our hands and rebounding. And off the court, not getting too, we know how crazy this year might be as far as the chatter around our team. we want to stay locked in with each other, focus on whoever's in the building, and let that stuff take care of itself. So that's part of the two main things.
It's a competitive group. We have a lot of depth. We have a lot of experience, a lot of high-end talent. We have all the things that make up great teams and championship teams. But again, you can't predict so far out. I mean, we got to just focus on trying to play good basketball right now, and again, trying to instill sort of those championship habits and get those in place here early on. That way, you know, when we start rolling around end of the year, we're hopefully playing our best basketball.
It's going to be Headband Joe this season, and avoid the hair being a distraction.
I can't wait for you to continue to fill us in on the reports of the hair, the headband, if there's haircuts on the way.
No doubt. But one of the things that they both talked about was, again, limiting distractions. That's going to be the case when you're talking about a high-profile team that has championship aspirations, dealing with the Kyrie Irving situation, finding a way to block out the noise and stay locked in on the task at hand.
To me, that shows the maturity of these players, but the group as a whole, that they are so open in talking about it, acknowledging it, the understanding that this is going to come and how they're able to combat and deal with it early on. And, you know, more than anything, and I think we've heard this from all players when they have spoken, that they understand that, but it's about what's happening inside the locker room. It's what's happening together and the big picture, long view of a season. Even what we just heard from Joe Harris about peaking at the right time. There is a composed, steady nature to how they're approaching this season. For all of the anticipation, understanding just the duration of it, that they're going to be highs and lows and how they go about dealing with that.
Season, Kevin Durant was certainly worth the wait for the Nets last year. He provided plenty of excitement in the regular season. Then he kicked things into another gear during the playoffs when he averaged more than 34 points per game. That postseason run included KD's historic performance in Game 5 of the second round against Milwaukee, a game in which he played every second. Welcome back on the FanDuel Sportsbook Nets pregame show. Durant also went the distance in Game 7 versus the Bucks, forcing overtime by hitting a shot that was just barely a two-pointer, not a three-pointer, that would have given Brooklyn a lead with 1 second left in regulation. During a recent conversation, I asked him about that before moving on to other topics.
Turns, he shoots, yes! With 1 second remaining!
Okay, I'm sorry to start here. What's your shoe size, Kevin?
I wish it was 15. It's an 18, but I know what you're getting at.
I was told that you were like a slightly...
Yeah, size bigger than my walk-around shoes.
When did that start?
I've always been that way. I wear 2 pairs of socks. I guess I want to move around a little bit more out there. But yeah.
Take us through that moment. It was the times that I've been in Brooklyn, I've never heard it that crazy.
Yeah, it was a lot on the line. So, you know, I knew it would be a lot of people watching to see what was going to happen, especially here in Brooklyn. But once that we started playing that game and we seen, you know, our fans just wanting us to win so bad, you seen it turning. You seen culture of the Nets starting to change, the expectations of the team start to change. And it always helps a basketball team coming into an arena when you know your fans expected you to be on a high level as well. So it was electric in there, man. Even though we didn't finish the series off, you know, for our little section of the NBA, it was good for us.
Why was it important to you to sign that extension?
I thought it was important. I mean, first off, this is where I wanted to play and set up shop. Love playing for the fans here. Love being in New York and Brooklyn. And, you know, so playing with my teammates, that was the most important thing. Having this group of guys here made it easier for me to come back for a few more years. So looking forward to it, man.
Kevin, I think, is the best player in basketball, but also he's like the most unaffected player in basketball. And by that, I mean, like, it doesn't matter what type of defense you play, like, he's going to get to his shot.
Oh, come on now.
It seems like no one can, like, make him, like, alter or change his game from what he wants to do.
Durant can't miss.
I don't think there'll probably ever be another player that's like him with the size, athleticism, ability to score at every single level, ability to defend, just completely take over a game on that end of the floor as well. You're not going to find too many players that are like him coming through the doors.
Yeah, I mean, we all know in the back of our minds what the main goal is, especially when you've been around so long. And you got a lot of guys that were close to get to that point. So I feel like it's something that we don't even have to talk about.
KD driving and finishing. The hammer from KD.
Watching him grow and mature as a player over the years, man, it's been unbelievable to see. See what level he's at right now.
His natural ability, given his length and size, his ability to shoot the ball. I see him as the best player in the world at the moment.
To be on the same team as him, man, it's an unbelievable experience right now.
I'm excited to see where he gets all this, ability and momentum and, the swagger about him.
Kevin Durant, a downtown hit for KD.
One of the best to ever do it. I mean, you don't need to describe it. You see it every single night. 7 feet, can handle, can shoot, can make his teammates better, can guard. I mean, it's like God created him.
Trying to build something new here, and you can see it forming in real time, and it's fun to go through that with the fans. And it's going to be ups and downs throughout this year, and I'm looking forward to them staying with us through every step of the way, and I'm looking forward to us going out there and providing a great experience for them every night.
Yeah, I think James said it best. One of the best to ever do it. Two-time NBA champion, two-time finals MVP, MVP of the league during that 2013-2014 season, and a four-time scoring champion. What can't Kevin Durant do? All right, Sarah Kustok. He is also the face of the franchise for the foreseeable future. Signed that contract extension, something fans can really get excited about.
Where do we even begin? And I think James was saying it best, because we see it every night, and it's so hard to put into words just what a dominant player Kevin Durant is and how much he has embraced what it means to be the face of the Brooklyn Nets. He can do it all on the floor. You listen and just hear his teammates, the high level of respect of what he pours into the game, has poured into his craft. And we got a glimmer of it last year, because you think about Kevin Durant not only coming back from injury, but dealing with some other injury throughout the course of the season, the stints of being in health and safety protocol, the postseason and the playoffs. He was otherworldly. And so now to think about the fact that he has a off season here settled in with the Nets, coming back healthy, has a preseason with this group, it is going to be extraordinary to watch what he's able to bring to the table with this collection and depth of players.
And here's something that's scary. You've mentioned this before in the past, and he brought this up again on Monday after practice. He still considers himself a student of the game. That is bananas, a guy that can do all that he can do on the basketball court and still feels like he's learning it out there. MVP candidates coming into this season. Luka Doncic, of course, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jokic won it a season ago. Got to throw Steph Curry in there. What do we need to see from Kevin Durant to see him win a second MVP?
He very well could win the MVP. I don't know if he's going to be splitting votes, though, with James Harden, because both of their names in the mix. It is the fact that Kevin Durant is able to get a shot anytime he wants on the floor. He helps his teammates to flourish, and we're seeing so much of his skill set as an offensive weapon, but let's not forget what he does on the defensive end. He is an absolute menace, and how he's able to protect that back line, such a perfect fit for the style that Steve Nash wants to play with. And I think for a team that has championship aspirations, we know so much of it always comes down to availability and also often what your team's record looks like. So for this Brooklyn Nets team, the early favorites, I think there's a lot of reasons to believe that Kevin Durant could walk away with an MVP trophy this season.
No matter what, he's going to be special to watch this season. Like Sarah said, when you're having MVP talk, you also have to include number 13, James Harden, who has one of those awards too. We'll hear from the big no time making an impact after being acquired from Houston, one of the NBA's best scorers. Harden opened eyes with his passing, and he is already second on the Nets' all-time franchise list for triple-doubles behind Jason Kidd. Harden's Hall of Fame caliber resume only has one glaring omission, an NBA championship. He remains driven by the pursuit of a title as he enters his 13th professional season, and he's also motivated by a love for basketball that is reflected by the way he carries himself on the court. whether he's putting up his own numbers or setting up teammates.
Harden. Oh, yeah! James Harden from downtown. Well, Harden makes it look so easy. James Harden, next level.
Playing with James is pretty special.
James is our orchestrator, our floor general.
He's facilitator first. He's always looking to get everybody involved, and when you have that mentality, it makes it easier for you to come in and play with other guys.
Obviously, one of the better talents that's come through this league in the history of the game.
Multi-talented guard, can play 1, 2, 3, 4.
Gets guys in the spots. He does a good job of controlling the tempo and the flow of games.
Makes the team better a number of ways. If he has to score, he can score. If he has to pass, he can pass, rebounding. He can do it all.
A very dynamic scorer, and can get points from 3 different levels, and that's pretty rare.
We respect him, we support him, and we go out there and listen. I mean, he speaks up. He's one of the leaders of our team.
Oh, James Harden! Hammer jam for the beard. And emoting after the smash.
What is that passion, that love for the game? Again, everybody feeds off of it.
I just fell in love with basketball. Like, if it wasn't for the money, I still love basketball the way I love it. So I'm just passionate. And I know throughout the course of the year, there's going to be some ups and some downs, some games where it's a struggle to catch a rhythm or get going. But that's what makes great teams and great individuals, like finding a way, getting that passion, getting that strength out of like your teammates. And I mean, that's just who I am. And people might look at it, or he's overly aggressive or whatever. Like, there's time. I pick and choose my times. I'm just not like no rah-rah, like loud guy. When I feel the need to let it out, you'll see it. You'll feel it.
You look at the game kind of like chess. I remember talking to you, and you were explaining how much you love figuring out how teams are attacking you and then figuring a way to counter it. Expound on that a little bit about what you love about the chess.
Yeah, I've been in a game to where it's like teams try to find ways to slow me down, and I've seen a lot of different defenses, a lot of different coverages, and it just trains my mind to find ways to attack it, and not let it attack me. So it's not too many things that I haven't seen defensively. So now I just know going into the games who we're playing, what they like to do, what their defensive schemes are, and the best way that I can attack it, not only for myself though, but being able to get free so I can set guys up and make guys look good.
Your footwork is bar none the best in the game. When did you really start putting in the work and thinking about footwork and unconventional step backs?
I think while I was in Houston. And it just found another level to my game, to where I found something that works and I just mastered it and try to continue to get better, find ways to keep defenders on their toes and just not get ahead of me. And it's still there, it's finding ways to get better. But footwork is everything. If you got footwork, you're able to get by defenders, you're able to create separation for your shot, you're able to do a lot of things. So that's like, something that I continuously work on.
I hate talking about injuries. You've been healthy the majority of your career. How difficult was it battling through those hamstrings?
Probably the most difficult time of my career, just because I've never had to deal with, being out that long. I'm usually there for my teammates. I'm usually on the court. Guys are looking at me to lead the way. So very, very difficult. But it is what it is. I blame it on myself. I could have handled things better preparing for the season. But ultimately, I'm here now, and it's go time.
You do not shy away from the expectations for this team. You're given the talent, championship, you put it all out there. Why is that a part of your personality in terms of embracing that?
Let's be honest, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we're built for. We have the team, we have more than enough. We have the coaches, we have everything we need. Last year we dealt with a lot of, I don't like to keep bringing it up, injuries or whatnot. So now it's a new year. Same mindset, same goals every single year, and that's to be the last team standing.
James Harden does not shy away from expectations. Claimed scary hours from the get-go. Said he should win a championship. Said at one point last season that he felt he was is the MVP. Could he be the MVP this season? You mentioned that a little bit earlier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You talk about both him and Kevin Durant, and you put them immediately in that conversation coming into this season. When you think about James Harden, it is savant plus skill. And that's scary when you think about how you watch him on the floor. And he said it about making guys look good. His teammates talk about getting others better. There's cliches you talk around in basketball, and players make their teammates better. It jumps off the court when you watch how James Harden has such a understanding and temperature of how to put guys in their place and get them involved in the offense, when it needs to happen, how a defense is playing the team, and what he can do to be that magnet, because he is such a prolific scorer, one of the greatest that we have seen. To be able to facilitate the way he can, find guys, it's something that I am really excited to watch how he continues to do that and thrive, because that was such a major factor throughout the course of last season when there was times when Kyrie Irving was not playing, when Kevin Durant was not playing. James Harden was the orchestrator of this offense, and I think that's something that he'll continue to grow into. Now coming into the season and the type of shape that he wants to be in, with the added level of comfort and the relationship that he has cultivated with Steve Nash, I think is something that's really special.
Some folks may have looked at this like a okie doke, you know, coming from Houston, looked at as a scorer, has scoring titles on his resume, and then all of a sudden with Brooklyn, he's passing the ball all over the place. But you ask James, he's like, no, I've always been a great facilitator, and we really saw that on display throughout his time in Brooklyn.
That, to me, is the understanding